Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. All learning together to trust Him each day, every day, for one more day, right? At least I know I am. And maybe you ain't having to do that, but I'm definitely having to do that. I hope you've had a good morning. I hope you had a good week, or whatever time of day you're watching, I guess. And I hope you've had a good year. This is it. This is our final broadcast for the year because tomorrow's Sunday and then Monday morning will be New Year's Day, and I'm planning on doing a broadcast New Year's Day. It's Monday, we might as well, right? Not too much, but I'll take tomorrow off anyway. But I hope you have lots of plans for the weekend. I'm going to watch more bowl games. I've enjoyed watching the bowl game, most of the bowl games. A couple of them made me mad, but most of them have been really good, right? And so I'm trying to figure out what the committee's thinking with some of their things they do, but that's okay. It's okay. This football season is almost over, and now we got the NFL to go, and the NBA to go. We got plenty of other things to focus on after this, and not stay too focused on any of it at any one time, right? Anyway, I do hope you're having a good holiday season, and it's almost over. We'll get back to something that looks something like whatever normal looks like to you right after this. But anyway, this morning I was actually reading. I finished Proverbs this morning. I've been reading Proverbs the last few days, and several days, and then somehow I found myself in Isaiah 25. Now we've spent a lot of time in Isaiah 26. Isaiah 26:3 was my mom's life verse, and I've held on to it, because she taught me to, that He will keep us in perfect peace when our mind is stayed on Him, and that is true. But it's not always easy. We can read it, we can say it, we can quote it, we can know it, we can memorize it, we can regurgitate it all the time, but actually letting that peace reign and keeping our mind on Him when things come at us is actually quite a chore, right? And I don't know how you are now. Sometimes my issue, I'm usually like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I'm going to go way out here to this extreme and way out there to that extreme, and then I'm finally going to come back to the middle and go, oh, it's okay. God will take care of me no matter what. But it takes me all this process to get there, right? And that's okay because we still come back to He's going to take care of me. And haven't we seen Him do that over and over this year? I've seen Him do it over and over pretty much every year. But in Isaiah 25, the chapter before Isaiah 26, that's just how convenient is that, right? It starts with this: "O Lord, you are my God. I will exalt you, or I will praise you. I will praise your name, for you have done wonderful things. Your counsels of old are faithfulness and true." And can we say this year together that God has been faithful and true? He just continues to put His word in our hearts. He just continues to be our peace. He continues to be our God. He continues to protect us. He continues to watch over us. God just continues to be God, right? Aren't you glad this year wasn't the year He said, I want this year off, right? Or, okay, I'm not going into 2024 with you. You're on your own. He continues to be faithful. His word continues to be true. And He's going to continue being our peace, continue holding us up, continue walking with us, continue whatever we need, whatever capacity we want to know Him in. See, He'll match what our desires are. If we want to be all in and we want to know as much about God as we possibly can, He's all in. If we're real reserved and we're like, okay, I only want to know you on Sundays, He'll work with that because He wants to walk with us to the capacity that we will allow it. He won't push us over and just go, come on, drag us through life. He will walk with us as much as we want Him to, right? Isn't that awesome about God? So we're going to continue to just praise Him. And so I pulled out a couple of scriptures out of this chapter because I felt like it just really summed up the year, right? In verse 4, it says, "You've been a strength to the poor." Has God been your strength? And we're not saying poor financially. We're saying, because what does it say in Matthew? When we are poor in heart or needy in heart, we know we need Him, that we're spiritually poor without Him. Then He blesses us. He gives us, what is it we inherit? I'd have to go look, right? But when He meets us in that spot, He's been a strength for us when we realize our weakness and our need for him. He can be our strength. He's always willing and ready. We just have to become poor in the sense that we know we need him and we can rely on him for his strength to carry us, right? He's been a strength to the needy in his distress. When we are in distress, he's always been there. He's never said, I'm off today. Can you call me tomorrow? Right? No, he's a strength to the needy in our distress. He's there with peace every single time. He's there with grace every single time. Isn't that amazing about God? He's been a refuge. This is still verse 4, a refuge from the storm. Has he been your refuge this year? See, I get excited when I start thinking about this, so I have to slow down a little bit. But I know he's been my refuge this year. I know he's been my refuge for 63 years, but he's been my refuge this year from the storms that have come. And you have your storms. Our stories have our own elements, and we can all put them up here and compare them, but it's all going to come down to this one thing. He's been our refuge. He's been a shade from the heat. He's protected us when it got too hot for our soul. He's given us peace when we found ourselves in unrest and he's been our protector when we found ourselves in distress. He's been there. But there's more. In verse 9 it says, it will be said on that day, and he's in the middle of a prophecy. I'm pulling these little things out kind of out of context, but they work, okay? Behold, this is our God. We have waited for him. Have we waited for him this year? I know I have. Not always quietly and not always patiently, but I've waited for God. That just means my hope is in him. It's not in something else. My hope is in God. And so I'm waiting for him to rescue my soul. I'm waiting for him to give me that peace. I'm waiting for him to speak comfort to me when I need it, right? And he will save us. Has he saved you from anything this year? Look back. Most of us spend this time of the year kind of reflecting on the year and setting goals for the new year, things like that. It's kind of our own personal resets, kind of, right? And can we look back at situations that we thought there was no way out of, and yet there he was to be there with us to save us out of those? We're not stuck in any of those, right? Nothing has gone on forever. He's rescued our souls in the sense that he's given us peace. He's given us strength. He's covered us with mercy. His grace has always been enough for whatever we have faced this year. And as we keep moving into a new year, it's going to be the same because he never changes as long as we keep trusting him. Right, and waiting on him, we'll see that deliverance. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't deliver. It's just if we're not waiting on him, we may not see it when it happens. We might not register in our heads that he did anything because we weren't watching for it. He's going to take care of us because we're his children, period, right? Then it says, this is the Lord. We have waited for him and he will save us. This is the Lord. We have waited for him. That's twice. Sometimes got to wait long and it's hard, but he will meet us there. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation. Aren't we glad when we find that peace in the middle of the storm? Aren't we glad when we find that grace when we thought for sure we couldn't make it through this situation, whether it was an emotional situation, a financial situation, a relational situation, a job situation, whatever the situation, we get through it and look back and go, well, God had me covered. I just needed to be still and listen to him. I needed to just stop and wait and trust him. I needed to pray just a little bit more and ask him for more direction, ask him for wisdom. He gives wisdom. Remember that those verses, right? And so as I read this today, I was like, man, that's perfect. God has been there this year, no matter what our lives brought, no matter what elements got introduced into our story, no matter what got removed from our stories. God's been there with us. God's been there for us. And the good thing is he will continue. It's up to us, though. There is some work there. We have to purposefully that's a verb, put our hope in him. We have to purposefully let his peace reign. We have to purposefully see that we are needy. We need him to help us work through and navigate through life, right? But you know what happens every single time? God meets us right there. He's always there. We just have to figure out how to acknowledge him, trust in him instead of our own devices and thinking processes and our own wisdom and things like that. We just have to trust him. And this is what we're going to do ending this year. We're going to end this year trusting him, letting his peace reign, and we're going to begin next year letting his peace reign and trusting him, right? Peace out, you guys. Have a great New Year's, and I'll see you bright and early next year, Monday morning.